Imagine losing your vision at 40 years old and having to start your career all over again. That's what happened to Michael Jarmon, and now he's giving us his one can't-miss tip to companies when it comes to hiring people with disabilities. That's today on Driven by Purpose.
This is Driven by Purpose, a show about finding your purpose, building fulfilling careers, and helping people with disabilities live better lives. Hosted by three men who've lived it and are here to help you do the same. Special thanks to our presenting sponsor, Clean Logic, a leading bath and skincare company and a true pioneer in creating inclusive workplaces and increasing employment opportunities for people with disabilities.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Driven by Purpose. My name is Evan Rosenblum, along with the co-founders of Clean Logic and the Inspiration Foundation, Isaac Shapiro and Mike Ghesser. What's up, gentlemen?
What's up, Evan?
Hey, Evan, what's happening?
We talked about one of our previous episodes we're talking about building a company that really focuses on inclusion and hiring people with disabilities. We've talked to a lot of founders. We've talked about a lot of CEOs. We've had a lot of guests on the show. But one of the episodes that I found that I learned a lot from, one of the most compelling episodes, was when we had Rich Ryder on. And he's a guy who worked for Clean Logic for a long time. And one of the reasons I really appreciated that episode is because he's a guy who was on the inside, and we got to learn what it was like building a company that was so inclusive from the inside. Our guest is another guy who is an employee from the inside who helped grow with you guys, who was a really important part of your business, of your company. And he's joining us today to tell us what it's like to grow this business and to not only hire people with disabilities to make the workplace accessible and inclusive for people with disabilities, but he is also a person who lost his vision. Was it during his employment or before he started working with you guys?
Michael, I think it was Michael. I'm going to have you just jump right in and tell the story right now.
Thank you. Happy to be with you guys.
So I guess that's the first question is, you lost your vision, but was it before you started working with Isaac and Mike, or was it after?
I lost my vision in 2007. I'm actually visually impaired. I'm totally blind in my left eye and have partial vision in my right.
Okay.
So I'm legally blind, but 2007, yes.
Then how did you end up connecting with Isaac and Mike and Clean Logic?
I was previously working at another nonprofit manufacturing company for the blind. And one of my coworkers who came to Clean Logic reached out and said, hey, come on, and you might be interested in joining this team here. The last year I was in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and it was quite a commute, right? And so I was attracted to the fact that Clean Logic was, right here in Audubon, closer.
Right.
But shorter commute. So that was the main thing that had me come and look into it.
Had you heard anything about Isaac and Mike or the Inspiration Foundation or anything that they had been doing for people with who are visually impaired or people with disabilities at all before you had heard about the job opportunity there?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
What a fateful meeting then, huh?
Yeah. I had no idea. I didn't know what I was getting myself into when I interviewed. And once I learned about Clean Logic and saw what was going on here, it blew my mind.
So what year is that? So take us to that. So what year is the job interview?
2023, I think.
So you meet with these guys, and then what's the position for?
Well, I started out sewing. We were working on the Practical Matter products at the time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
That's the beginning. I started out sewing. Eventually, as time went on, things evolved, things changed, and most of us are pretty much cross-trained in different positions. But right now, I'm on the conveyor belt, assembly and packaging.
So when you show up and you do this first interview and the job is for somebody who's sewing, is that the job that you're there for?
That was part of the job. There were other positions, but there was a handful of us who, I think it was like five or six sewers.
Right.
If that, but things change over time, as the company is growing. And no, we no longer do any sewing anymore.
Right. At the time, Mike and Isaac, were there other people who were sewing for you guys who were visually impaired?
Yeah, we started off with Overbrook School of the Blind with sewing. And so our first sewers were all blind or visually impaired.
Wow. Okay. So there was kind of a blueprint on how to do this.
Yeah, I mean, we were creating it as we were going along, but yeah, that's essentially what happened. And that's kind of how it expanded. And we evolved into making the entire company more and more and more accessible over time.
So Michael, then, so you get in there and you start the job. And then for you, had you had previous sewing experience before, or was this the first time that you had been doing that?
No, my previous job, that's what I did.
Okay.
We produced items for different military branches,
Oh, wow.
fleece jackets, disposable T-shirts, and so on. Now, at the previous job, the machines had guides on them and guards for the blind, just to, for safety.
Sure.
And when I first got to Clean Logic, there weren't any guides, what I mean? And they were sewing, and I was like, wow, but over time they listened to us, they watched us, and Rich managed to put guides in place on each machine, and it just took the initiative to, make things safe,
Yep. When we started, we didn't know. And so
Right.
Michael, you taught us. So the rest of the team taught us, and that's what I was saying before many times, it wasn't complicated or costly or to do little things, little attachments or little safety things on these sewing machines. We just didn't know. So it was great that Michael and other team members were saying, try this, try this, try this.
Right.
And we would just do it to adapt. And I feel like that's kind of there is no playbook. Every business is different, but when you're bringing the team on to help you and you're trying something new, take the feedback, because it's typically very, it's simple if you listen and you apply it. So I'm grateful for all the teachings that they've given us to help our company become as accessible as it is.
Well, so that was my question, Michael, is when you first were kind of brought in to collaborate with leadership, what was that like for you when you were made to feel like it's not just, me sitting back here and being told, do this, do this, do this, but when they brought you in and they asked for your feedback, they asked for your input, they wanted you to collaborate. How did it make you feel?
We feel very good. It made me feel like I was in the right place, for my situation. Blindness never gets old, you know what I mean? You never get used to it. And so, I think I'm still new to blindness. And so I have to find a way to adapt and then share that with Rich or whoever's in charge at the time. And then they do what they can to put something in place to make me help me do my job.
I was going to say that it got to put you in the right position to succeed. I mean, that's any job, from this job to, we were just talking about professional sports before the show started, about the Eagles and stuff like that. It's the job of a head coach or a GM is to put their players or put their team in the right position to have success. And it's no different at Clean Logic or at any business or any company. And when you're dealing with people with disabilities, it's the same thing. It's like, you can't just bring in people with disabilities and expect them to be like, okay, hit the ground running and everybody is going to just hit home runs and knock it out of the park. You have to collaborate and you have to listen, and it's got to be a team effort, and you got to work together to put them in the best position to have success. And it sounds like that's what happened here.
Rich and I had a saying, aces in their places.
Aces in their places. 100%.
Aces in their places. And that's what he pretty much was working towards, putting his aces in their places to get the job done, to get the work done.
Nice. Well, I think one thing I'd really like to share with our audience, Michael, is a little bit about your story. Growing up, I met a lot of people that went blind at an older age. I learned through my mom and her program, the challenges when you lose your sight at an older age. Then you got to figure out how to become independent, I don't want to tell your story here, and I don't know everything deep in there, but I'd love to just tell our audience like what it's like when you lose that and how are the challenges, and then you found a job at another place and coming here, like, but I'd like to just maybe focus for our audience and understand and giving them that feeling of how did you lose your sight, like, we've heard different stories, so tell us about the journey when you lost it, when you lost your sight and the challenges you went through.
I was living in Jacksonville, Florida. I moved down there from Philadelphia in '93. I got family down there. Got married. I was working towards my career. I was kitchen manager of a Mediterranean restaurant in Jacksonville Beach, Florida, and actually working a second job at night in another restaurant. And in between jobs, I'm picking up kids from school, picking up the wife from work, I'm consuming coffee and Coca-Cola, you know what I mean? And I didn't know I was borderline diabetic, and I ended up going into diabetic shock
Oh,
after
man.
sipping on a Red Bull, you know. And I had a few seizures at home. I had a few in the ambulance, and I had one more when I got to the ER, and they had to put me in an induced coma.
Oh,
I was
man.
in an induced coma for about 8 days, if I remember correctly. I had to get my legs back afterwards. After that, everything just started to go downhill. Medications had me gaining weight. I was losing teeth and just everything. Vision was going. I ended up being let go from my job, and I fell into a deep depression. I was on the couch and, it was horrible. I don't want to get into too much details, but I was in a bad way. It wasn't until my mother-in-law showed up one day and just made me get up and get myself together, and she took me out with her. We didn't go and do anything in particular, but she got me up, out, and out of the house, made me clean myself up. We got in the car. She just rode around running errands and taking care of her business and talking to me. You got to bounce back. You got a family. You got to do this. You got to do that. There's things out there.
Yeah.
There's services out there, and we're going to find them. You know what I mean? And that was the beginning.
What's her name? Let's give her a shout out right now because she sounds like an amazing
she's
woman.
no longer with us. Her name was Beverly Jean Hicks.
Beverly Jean Hicks, amazing woman.
My ex-wife's mother. Being the South and in Florida, there were much more services up here in my hometown than it was down there. So I ended up coming back home. And that's where I got connected with the Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired in Chester, PA. And through them, I found I had a job. They have an on-site toilet paper factory there where I got hired at. Also, I was receiving services there and was involved in a support group. And the couple of guys I worked with were pretty good guys. And one of them I got real buddy with, Chuck. He decided to move on to the next job, which is Best Works Industries for the Blind in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And he was telling me about it. And so I looked into it and I decided, I'd check it out too. It's a little bit more money, a bigger place. And that was that long commute I was telling you about.
Right.
We had to go downtown to 919 Walnut Street on paratransit. And from there would be a shuttle van from the company to take us over to Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And coming back, it's the same. You get off at 4, but I probably wouldn't get home till between 7:30 and 8 o'clock in the evening.
Lots of traffic in that area too.
Yeah. So, I worked there for approximately 4.5 years. And then I learned about Clean Logic. And that's what brought me here. Well, yeah, after the induced coma and everything, I started losing my vision. I was diagnosed with sarcoidosis on the eye. It comes out in a couple different ways. Not only, I just happen to have it behind my eyes, But all my life since I was a kid, I had this rash on my shoulder, and no one knew what it was while I was growing up. It wasn't until recently that a lot more information was found out about it, and my mother had it. And so that's what caused my vision impairment, is the sarcoidosis on the eye. And I guess it just came out full bloom after the coma and everything.
So how old were you when you lost the vision in your left eye?
In my early 40s, mid 40s. Wow. Yeah.
So imagine, just for our listeners out there, imagine going your whole life, essentially. You get to 40 years old with full vision, and then all of a sudden, bang.
Yeah.
One day, everything changes. I mean, that must have been such a radical change. I know you said that you went into depression and all that stuff. I mean, that's very typical. I mean, our story, you're familiar with Isaac and Mike's story. I have a daughter with severe disability. She's cerebral palsy. She's nonverbal. I mean, these things change. And when you have a radical life shift, depression is a thing that can really happen. And, I'm glad that you were able to get help, and you had somebody to kind of help see you through it. But like, it's a real thing. When people go through these life shifts. And while we're just talking about it, I just want to point out, mental health is a real thing. And if you need help, I'm a strong advocate of therapy and therapists, and I'm a strong advocate of therapy. Please find somebody to help.
Now, Michael, real quick, I think one thing you brought up that I think is an important piece in terms of barriers for people with disabilities and jobs. You said about transportation. You said you would, pretty much get done at 4, but you wouldn't get home till 7:38. So again, I just want to point out to our audience, as we look to get more people, hiring people with disabilities, and understanding the challenges and the barriers that people with disabilities don't have full control, and it's that transportation piece. And I think that's just something that I really commend you on, because the even the stories we have at our team, because not all are close like you, some of the challenges. And didn't know if you had anything to add to transportation and some of the challenges, because it's trying to get our audience and people to understand, this high unemployment rate isn't because people just want to sit around and collect the government check. There's a lot of barriers that are happening. So
true.
Anything around the transportation you want to add for our audience, because it sounds like you've had to deal with that.
When I first moved back up here from Florida, I went to apply for Medicaid, and they turned me down. They said my Social Security disability put me $70 over the poverty limit.
Oh my gosh.
So I didn't qualify for it, or else I would have been eligible for those free Uber and Lyft rides to and from work.
And you missed it by $70?
It's $70.
It's ridiculous.
And that was back in 2014. And so all some of us have, the only option some of us have is paratransit. And it helps if you realize, if going in, that it is far from perfect. You won't get to work on time every day. You won't get home on time every day. You have your good and your bad days. And that's why I'm happy to be working at a company like Clean Logic, where, they understand that here.
Can I be mad for you for a second though, Michael?
Me too.
I want to be upset. I want to be upset for you for a second, because you are I don't really know you that well, but I just know you from this interview. But I can tell that you're a very patient person, and you've given a lot of grace to a lot of people, and you sound like you're an amazing man. But like, living in this world, like, I just want to point out to the audience, like, most people, when they are taking public transportation, or like they have expectations on, like, when the bus is supposed to be there at like 7:04 and the bus isn't there at 7:04, when you order a meal and it's supposed to be there, or you have like a set schedule and you're supposed to be there on a set schedule, and things aren't happening according to your schedule, you get pissed off. But when you're living in this world, in the disability world, like we are, all of us on this show are, this is just the way it is. You just have to get used to things being late all the time and not functioning at full speed and like a Swiss watch, like it should be. And it sucks that like you have to just get used to the fact that like things run late, and you have to hope that you work for a company that's going to be understanding that, like, hey man, the transportation just, isn't reliable to be on time all the time.
Yeah,
Sorry. And
it's
if
right.
you don't have people that you work with that understand that, like, it's going to fall on you, and that sucks. And I'm
Yeah.
glad that you're in a good situation, but like, that's not fair. That
Yeah.
sucks.
I had to learn to stay a step ahead of the paratransit system. You know what I mean? Like, set my ride up for 30 minutes, maybe an hour earlier, get up a little earlier. You know what I'm saying?
But like, I know you would never say this, but I'm going to say it for you. But like, your life's hard enough. Like, your life's hard enough. Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, the fact that like all these things are like piling up like on somebody whose life is already so difficult is like, it's just not fair. And I feel for you, and it sucks. But like, the fact that you have this attitude and you're going about it this way is like, you're a better man than me, Michael.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's the only option I got. So you have to learn to live with it, and I'm not mad about it anymore. I don't get mad about it anymore. It's the way it is. You know what I mean?
But I think that's kind of
There's
why
nothing you can do about it.
That's why we do what we do here on the show, to talk about it, to try and make change. It's why we do what we do at Clean Logic, so we can turn it around a little bit. Inspiration Foundation. Like, I hear you, and I you said everything's less than perfect, and less than perfect is a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah.
Who knows if we could ever make it perfect in our lifetime, but like, I hear you 100%. I see it 100% all the time. And like, it's frustrating. It's annoying. I see it for my kid.
I think what you just saw between this conversation with Michael and what you said, Evan, is that's part of the culture transformation we see.
Yeah.
People with disabilities, they've learned to pivot. They got to be innovative. They got to be this.
Right.
Us people, I talk for myself, like the expectation, like, oh my God, I can't believe that. But like, and that's what we see when you bring that.
You know what it is, Isaac? You know what it is,
really
Isaac?
Brings
let me interrupt
culture.
you though. You know what it is? It's because people with disabilities and our people in our community, we are dealing with so much stuff on a daily basis that like, we're tired. We're tired. And like, we could like, Michael could fight this fight, right? He could go and he could fight the transportation system, and he could be like, look, this is inconsistent and it is affecting like the ability to get to work on time. But like, the reality of it is, he's got like a lot of stuff going on in his life.
He's got to take care of himself.
And he's got to take care of himself. And like, that's an additional fight. That's like, he's got to make a decision. Like, is it worth the fight? No, it's not worth the fight. He's made the decision to like, just adjust his life. And it lets the people at the transportation system kind of off the hook. You know what I mean? And so the transportation system doesn't get fixed and it doesn't get better because like, there's no angry Karens like me screaming and yelling at the transportation people until it gets fixed, because the people in the disability world are already dealing with so much stuff on our plate that it's like, we don't have the energy left to scream at the transportation people. But the problem is, the transportation part of it is just one small element of all the things that we're dealing with on a daily basis. And it's just one
So
small
can I
part of
just go back to, because our tack dog over here, I love him. When you got to get in there and fight for your rights.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm hiring Evan right now.
I'm ready to fight, man. Let's go.
My whole point, going back to it, is that cultural transformation, because I love to quote those 5 economic benefits. And that's what I really think. I think about some of the employees and what they've said. I don't have a disability. They're like, oh my God, I come to work complaining about all these things, and I watch people showing up late because of transportation, the things they have to deal with. And that's where I see like, it's really had an impact with the team and like that empathy side, and really working together and doing that, because I just really, you guys have really just given a lot of just positivity in the company, and open people's eyes, creative patience, and those type of things. So that's where I want to make sure my point, because Evan, I agree, we can go on the transportation all day long, and I love, we can get on that. But I just really want to point out like that empathy is really rubbed off on our team, and why we've seen such a great culture impact.
Yeah.
And when we say you're going to see culture impact, these are one of the things that our team has really helped, build resilience with our team that don't face the things that Michael is talking about, and dealing with things better,
So let me ask Michael a question. Michael, so if there's a CEO out there, there is a founder out there that's starting a business, and this person wants to hire people with disabilities, and they want to make it a point. So, they want the Inspiration Foundation, symbol on their product. They want to hire this. They want the seal. What is your advice to that person who wants to start a company when they are staffing up? What is something that like you found to be an amazing, amazing part of Clean Logic that you think other founders should really take into consideration and build around when starting a company?
They should reach out to schools for people with disabilities in their area, like Isaac and Mike did, like the Overbrook School for the Blind. And I'm not sure what are the schools called out here in Montgomery County. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the production team here started out with students from Overbrook, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
and then they became full-time after they graduated.
Yeah, and and then there's word of mouth in the disabled community. You know what I mean? The people tell their other disabled friends about it. There's so many options out there, to find quality people with disabilities who want to work. Young people, and older people,
Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like the takeaway is interface with people with disabilities. You can't do it just like on theory alone. You got to actually talk to people.
There's no
you can't just read a book and Google it. You got to actually talk to people and bring people in and learn. And
right. Yeah. You have to reach out to those organizations and those schools. And, I think it's worked out pretty well here.
Totally agree. I'd say from a founder standpoint, from a CEO standpoint, it's been nothing but advantageous and beneficial to our entire business in every single aspect to go down this road. So I'd recommend it 100%.
I want the number of the transportation company so I can yell at some people.
I got names for you too.
I'm ready.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to Michael because he has been an advocate, and actually they were going to cut off bus transportation in our area, and we were able to go out and lobby, and Michael and Rich went and spoke to our group. So Michael's been a great spokesman for us in the community. He's just really been, outspoken and really, showing love to the company and just trying to get other companies to do it. And we appreciate it, Michael.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael.
Very much. It really feels good to hear that. And thank you guys, man, for giving me this opportunity, man. Thank you very much.
Well, it's been an honor to meet you, Michael. Truly, your story is amazing.
Same here.
Your resolve and just, I got to tell you, I know you probably know this already, obviously, but like a lot of people would have given up. And you're a strong man, and you've had some amazing strong people around you help you, pick you back up and get you going. And it's really inspirational to hear that. And
yes, thank you.
It's amazing. Your story is incredible, and just keep going, man.
I'm ever to tell your story because it's an inspiration. So it's good
absolutely.
Yeah.
And my takeaway is it's like, no one man can do it alone. It takes a group of, and I just saw something on social media, it's so cliche, but it's so true. It's like, check on your strong friends, and that lady, Beverly, your ex-wife's mother-in-law, that came and check on you and was like, hey man, get up, let's do it. Sometimes it takes a person like that to really grab you and pick you back up and get you going again. And she was in the right place at the right time to get you going.
Yeah, that was my very first step for bouncing back and getting back in the thick of things, you know.
And you would never know that about Michael because he's such a positive person. So I really appreciate you showing that, telling that story.
And thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that, man. It's really, people need to hear that, and that's great. And it's going to help people. That story's going to help people.
Kind words. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Well, this is going to do it for us here at Driven by Purpose. Remember, if you want to support this, you should share, like, comment, subscribe, all the stuff.
All the things.
Keep doing it. And we will catch you next time on Driven by Purpose. Thank you very much. See you.